So hello everybody. This video, I apologize first up front because it's likely to just be a series of rants about lockdown, about stress, about burnout, just all sorts of crappy stuff like that. So I apologize beforehand. And secondly, I'd just like to thank everybody who's hit subscribe. I think it's like 360 something subscribers. Not a huge amount, but I love the fact that the people who have subscribed are the people who message me, who ask me things, who tell me things. So I'm really grateful. And anyone else watching this and that hasn't subscribed, just hit that subscribe button and hopefully we'll interact in some way that's interesting to both of us. But the other reason for this video is, as you've probably noticed, I am not in a Porsche. And I'm not in a classic car, or it might be a classic in the future. I'm in my wife's Golf R. It's 2017 Mark 7.5 Golf R, and I don't know if I said before that my wife had an accident in December, and some moron basically forced her off the road and then drove off because their car wasn't damaged, and she got a concussion. And the car had £9,000 worth of damage, and it just came back. And now, when I get in it, the battery had died. So I'm taking it for a drive so I can take my children for childcare to their grandparents who are in a childcare bubble with us. So they're the only people that we see. But we're grateful that we can see them. And I've had to use my USB power bank, which also has jump leads coming out of it, and I've used that to get it going once. So I just need to make sure that it works this week. Admittedly, that's all it gets used for. It gets used once a week, but the accident was 2 months ago, and in that time it's made about 3 journeys. So I'm not surprised the battery's died, but I've taken it out for a couple of big runs, so I'm hoping it's going to be fine. I can't get it to make any noise because it's fake noise when you do turn it to race mode, which comes out of the subwoofer that's in the boot, but I've had to take that out. So I'm just going to go into a slight rant about VW at the moment, because we bought this car brand new in 2017. It's got 17,500 miles on it, so not a lot of mileage, less than 6,000 every year. And what's happened is, now that it's had a bump on the front, the boot was full of water, where the spare wheel is. So I went on Google and everyone said, oh, there's a little tube in the boot lid that you need to replace and it doesn't cost very much, and that's what causes it. So I replaced that, took the boot apart. And it's always a bit scary when you're taking it apart on your brand new car and you think, oh, is it going to rattle, is it going to do that? But no, I've managed to do that, so that's fine. It was like a half-hour job. But then I still thought there was water. I've literally stripped it all out. So the subwoofer sits in the spare wheel. I've taken that out. I've taken the spare wheel out. I've taken all of the stuff that's at the bottom of the boot out. I'm going to put it into sport. It's just too fast. I can't look at the horizon and see how fast I'm going, because you're doing 100 miles an hour in like seconds. Whereas with my 996, it's because I'm controlling the gears. This is a DSG. I'm controlling the gears. I know that in second gear it's going to hit a certain amount of speed. So I can get to 70 in second, where I'm straining it like crazy and it's about to hit the rev limiter, and then I can ease off because I'm not breaking the speed limit. Whereas this, the horizon's coming at me too fast to look down at the dash. Anyway, I've digressed. So there was so much water in the boot that I kept Googling it, and a lot of people have said that one of the problems is that after a while there's some vents that are under the back bumpers on the ends that work loose. So every time you go through a puddle, the boot fills up with water. Now, to sort that out, I need to take the back lights off, strip out the boot internally, more so than I've already done, because you've got to take all the paneling out the sides, take out the back lights, and then take off the bumper and then put new vents in, or mastic, like silicone seal the old vents in. But even if you buy new vents, you've still got to silicone seal them in, just in case. Now I'm a little bit pissed off about that, because the car costs we're still paying for it, for 35 grand, and it's made by VW, and you just think that can't be right. So I phoned VW, and they said, oh well, has it had a bumper? And I went, well, it's had an accident in the front, that's got nothing to do with it. And they go, oh well, actually it was the same, you might want to try your insurance company. And I just thought, what's that conversation going to sound like? Oh, you spent 9 grand fixing the front of it, but guess what, there's some vents that are at the back of the car under the bumper that have worked loose, and now water's getting in, and it's a direct result of the accident. So can you please sort that out as well? Otherwise the dealership will charge me £300 to £400 for fixing it, because they have to diagnose it first. They won't just go in and fix it. They have to spend an hour doing that, so it's like £100, and then 3 hours fixing it. Now I could do it myself, but it's raining, it's cold, I don't have the garage space, because I'd have to put my 912 out in the cold to put it in the garage, take it apart and fix it. And not only that, I don't have the time, because, as I said earlier, work is massively stressful, massively busy. I'm heading for lockdown burnout, as all of my colleagues are, all of my friends are, my wife is. So it's just generally just a bit shit. I used to do that little thing where you'd go for a coffee by yourself, ideally with a friend, but you'd go for a coffee by yourself, and you would do your little correspondence on your phone for 10 minutes, and then for 20 minutes you would literally just stare out of the window watching the world go by, and it would be your little fish tank moment. Whereas that doesn't happen. I go out for a walk and I do the bloody same circuit around the village every time I go out, if I can get out. Now, I'm gonna put my foot down. It's just too, it's great. It's just too fast. My wife loves this car. It's her car. And because it's so fast, and because it's got so many mod cons, because it's safe, because it's reliable, or it was, and it's practical, she just thinks, I just don't understand why you have that 996. It smells musty, which it does. You never clean it. It's impractical. It makes so much noise. It's probably dangerous. But I guess I have it for all of those reasons. Because, yeah, the same as the 912. It's not very fast. It's noisy. It's smelly. It's left-hand drive. It's got no seat belts. It's got a dogleg first gear. But I love it for all those reasons, because every journey, I want to say, is a pageant, but every journey is an adventure. So I love all that about it. But then I've been looking at, so I'm jumping between topics, and I never know what to call the videos, because I talk about so many, I jump from topic to topic, and people have said it before, it's just a stream of consciousness, but I don't care. But one of the things that's really annoying about the 912 is that all of the parts that I want, they're just little things. So the temperature sensor for the oil temperature sensor, or crankcase sensor, whatever, there's two of them. If I go and look for one, just Design 911, it's the same as, I think the one for a VW is something like, I don't know, £25. But this one, £188. It's just a little brass thing that bolts into the engine with a wire connector on top. And that's because they can. Because people buy it. And it's the same with second-hand parts, where someone goes, actually, I'm going to charge you a fuckload of money, pardon my French, for something that's just a heap of shit. So I bought those seats. Remember, I bought the seats for the back of the 912, and then I bought one pair for £150, which were kind of decent, and I thought that was a good price. Buy it now. And the others were £50, which were the correct ones, but they were all broken up. So I've made the one decent set, put them in the car, quite happy, cost £200 in total, and then I put the others on eBay in their crusty nature. I didn't sugarcoat it. I just said they're really crusty. They're good to use as a template if you're going to make self. And I put a starting price of 1 penny. Now that auction runs out for 7 days. I ran it. It runs out tonight. And for anyone who can guess, or nearest guess, and if there's people who guess the same and it's the nearest, then whoever gets back to me first, I will send you a prize, and it'll be something decent. It won't just be a heap of crap. And I'll post it to you in the UK, preferably. I don't really want to be posting internationally. But yeah, it's just completely bonkers, and I think I would like, for something weird going on the dashboard, I think I would, because I've put it on as an auction starting at 1 penny, so I'll know what the true value of something like that is, whereas other people are charging hundreds of pounds. So it'll be interesting to see, and it would just be nice to be able to have a day. I want to book a day off work just so I can do nothing. But there's no block in my calendar where I can say I'll take those 2 days off, because I've got things that I need to deliver. That all I would be doing by taking a day off is making it worse, more stressful, more work to do in a shorter space of time. And so many people are going through that during lockdown. So it'd be interesting to see. It'd be great to get some feedback on. I guess this is supposed to be a car channel, but I'm just ranting about lockdown. Lockdown has to happen. Lockdown should have been sooner and harder, so there wasn't this massive peak that happened at Christmas. And it's a bit different because reporting's different, and these cases might have been present before, or this level of infection rate might have been present before Christmas, but it's now just stretched it out so far. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be commuting to work on a day like today where it's raining, it's cold, it's dark. I would not want to be commuting to work, catching the 6:45 in the morning, and then coming home at 9 o'clock in the evening, and just being generally miserable, not seeing my family, not seeing my children. It would just be rubbish. So yeah, I'm hoping that's going to change soon as the weather changes. I feel like we're so close to the weather changing. The temperature's going to go up by about 12 degrees tomorrow, apparently, which means it's going to get to 12, which is pretty rock and roll, tropical almost. But anyway, so soon I'll be doing that. The other thing is, I have been just generally looking at classic car prices, because 2 years ago, just before I bought my 996, that's it, another tangent, I'm coming up to, in about a month and a bit, of 2 years of ownership on my 996. I still haven't cleared out the drainage holes in it, by the way. It's still steamed up when I walk past it, which is gross. I will do that when the weather improves, and I have time. Time is the problem. It doesn't really matter about the weather. I just fix it in the rain. It's just time. So I'll do that, but I'm coming up to 2 years, so I'll be doing a 2-year ownership report, I guess. The mileage has come right down, so that's going to be different. But there's also a thing about, I've been looking, so 2 years ago when I started thinking about getting a classic car and doing something like a, not YouTube channel, but an experiment, and I was going to spend £1,500 on a classic car that was over 40 years old, that I was just going to buy and drive to Edinburgh and back. So drive to Edinburgh, stay overnight in a hotel, and drive home. And I would video it, do a report on it, and then go, do you know what, everybody go out there and buy a really old car, because it's tax-free, MOT-free, look after it, use it every day, and you would be able to get on the road in something interesting that you could use every day, and it's accessible to everybody. And there were quite a few cars available. Admittedly, a lot of them were Morris Minors, which I hate. A couple of Beetles, which I also dislike. And people might say, oh, but you've virtually got a Beetle in a 912, which I'd say cheeky. But they were available. Whereas now I go and look, that kind of car is £2,500. Starting 996, if I was to buy one in a similar format, again, I've repeated this a million times, it would be manual, hardtop, rear-wheel drive, C2, and it would need an MOT. There's been a couple that have come up that have been automatic, and one of them was like for £5,500, but it had gaping holes in the arches and things like that, and I don't think it'd get through another MOT, and it had a problem with the gearbox. But those are no longer available. Yeah, you can go on a forum and someone will sell you something that's got loads of problems, but mine didn't have any major problems. The air conditioning needed fixing, it needed a tyre, and the door lock was broken. I think those were the three things. But other than the tyre, I could have just jumped in and started driving it. I did just jump in and start driving it. I fixed the tyre first and it became my everyday car, my daily. So those just aren't available anymore. And I'm thinking, is that because generally prices are going up or people are not selling them? I don't know. But I still think there's a way you can overthink it, and there's this whole thing about matching numbers and originality and service history and things like that. You've got to think about what you're trying to do. It's about at work, so I'm a technology consultant at work, and if you go and speak to somebody and say what's the outcome you're trying to achieve and work back from there, it's much easier. But most of the time people say, well, I want a 911 and it's got to be this, and all of that criteria is to do with having an appreciating asset. When you have an appreciating asset, you're less likely to drive it, you're likely to have anxiety about it being damaged, about it having wear, it might have IMS issues, bore scoring, whatever it might be. But the more expensive one you buy, the more anxiety you'll have. So if you buy one and think, well, I'm going to drive it, I'm going to drive the hell out of it, I don't really care whether it gets us, well, I do care if it gets a scratch, but it's not the end of the world, then all of those anxiety issues that you talk about buying an expensive one still exist, but you're driving a 911. And they're just lessened because your initial outlay isn't as high, and in all likelihood you will get that money back. You won't lose money, even if the car dies or explodes. Well, explodes, I mean grenades the engine. I don't know what that means. Does that mean, yeah, the engine seizes, breaks, needs a new engine, that kind of thing. So you'd still be able to do that, but I think it's accessible to more people, but then prices are so variable. So if you go on eBay, for example, there is a red Porsche 912 for £45,000 that you could probably get for 40 because it needs work, and I think they're willing to do the work for a bit more money, and they might. But if you say I don't want it done, you might get it for a bit less. But then you've got some that are just extortionate, and they are nut and bolt restorations. Now, why would you want that? If you just say, well, actually, I just want to be driving one of those, and I want one that looks nice, that I look at when I park it, and I walk away, I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's a great car. Well, what's matching numbers or original paint got to do with that? Well, original paint, if you had patina, that's different. But it's a car that you can own, you love the look of, you love the way it drives, you love owning it, then why get hung up on matching numbers if that's stopping you owning one? I don't know, I need to have a conversation with somebody about this. Maybe I need to talk to Michael Bath about it, about the shortest route to owning a Porsche. Now, some people say, oh, well, the next big thing, Magnus Walker talks about the next big thing, oh, the driving experience of a 924 is now equal to or surpasses blah, 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 blah. Well, that you evolve to that. If you go, I want to buy a Porsche, it's going to be my first one, you're not going to buy a 924. But if you've owned a lot of Porsches, then you might go, oh, I'll try a 924. Actually, it's not that bad. So you're coming at it from a different point of view. But maybe I need to have a conversation with somebody and go, what's the shortest route to Porsche 911 ownership? That's what I think should be the way forward. Because I talked to a friend of mine who's who said, I really want a Land Rover, but Land Rover Defender, but I need something a bit more practical, and I need something for the long journey that we make once a year with the whole family, and there's 5 of us, and all of those reasons, practical, logical reasons. And my response was, I saw him a week ago for a walk, socially distanced, and my reasoning was, yeah, but life's too short. We're in lockdown. We're not going anywhere. And you're going to have 2 cars. And your wife doesn't like driving the big bulky car as she drives into the middle of town for work. Why don't you just both get what you like driving every single day and just hire a car to go where you're going? Now, if you bought a big car, you bought Cayenne or a Range Rover or one of those things that you think, those are the kind of things that he might want to buy, then the depreciation is massive. Whereas a Land Rover Defender, it's probably not going to go down any further. He's looking at like 2003. So life's just too short. So why cater for that one thing that happens once a year and compromise both of your driving experience for the rest of the year, when you could both enjoy something every single day and just get something completely and utterly fit for purpose for those 2 weeks or whatever time you go away. Pardon me. Go away, and life's too short for anything else. And now I'm a bit scared because he's taken my advice and he got his Land Rover delivered yesterday. It looks awesome. He loves it. So already it's a good thing. So why that, and that's my takeaway from it. Why cater for that one thing that you do once a year when you should cater for your maximum enjoyment on a daily basis, which you can do without compromising anything else. So yeah, I guess that's my rant. I'm just looking at the timer. I've been rambling on for 20 minutes again. Yeah, I think I'm not going to edit this and send it out. So yeah, the thing I'd say is contact me on YouTube or Instagram and tell me what you think those seats will go sell for. And if you're the nearest, I will send you something. It'll be a decent price, I promise you that. It's not, yeah, all you need to do is just send me the number of what you think it's going to sell for. I'll contact you if you've hit the button on the head. Remember, I've put it on for 7-day auction, starting at a penny. They're crusty as hell. I'll insert some pictures in so you can see, and that's what it's going to be. I've posted the photos of them on Instagram anyway, and that's what we'll do. And I was about to accelerate up here, but there's a car that's too close. So if I click it down into sport and then put my foot down, it's great, but it's just too quick, and it's too civilized. The acceleration is really controlled. It's not quite raw, and that's another thing. Actually, I was about to say, thanks, done, video done. But people get hung up on what cars are like on paper, and the enjoyment doesn't come from on paper unless you just be honest with yourself and say, I want something that's going to appreciate in the future and I can make some money from it, in which case I have no idea what you should do. Because if you go and buy a nut and bolt restored car and it's expensive, it might stay at that price forever, or it might come down, or it might go up. I don't know. It's like saying, should I buy Bitcoin? Who knows? So yeah, don't get hung up on what it's like on paper. That's another conversation. That needs to be part of the what's the direct route. Don't get hung up on what it's like on paper. Go and look at one, go and test drive one. The only thing with that advice is that's not advice that I follow. I give that to other people. Because don't do as I do as I say. No, you can do as I do. Whereas I think, oh, that looks nice. Can I afford it? What's the likelihood? What's the worst case scenario? I can accept that. Let's just go and buy it. That's what I should do. Although I listened to the last Porsche cooled podcast. Michael, Steve, I am not wealthy. And yes, I can't believe you didn't get back to me, Steve, on Instagram. I'm very upset. Heartbroken. Anyway, on that note, I shall try and do a video very soon, but that could be famous last words because there's just no time. Who knows, I might have more time if I have a breakdown. Not a car breakdown, like a mental breakdown. Which, do you know what? There's so many people that are going through that. Maybe that's the thing that we need to, Michael, that's the subject of our discussion on Clubhouse. That should be it. We should talk about direct path to buying a Porsche of any description and a lockdown breakdown that people need to talk to other people. It's so important to just talk to somebody and just say, I'm not okay. That's incredibly important. Say to somebody, I'm not okay. Sorry, I've rambled on for so long. It's going to be like, this might as well be a podcast. Maybe I should just put this out as a podcast. Just aimless rambling. Yes. But I think that's my number one advice. Reach out to somebody, and if you're not feeling okay, tell somebody now. That's it. Anyway, thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please guess at the price that you think those seats are going to be selling for. And I'm on Instagram. Mostly you just see what I'm drinking that night, but there will be more once I can start going outside more. I'm hoping the back boot of this car isn't going to be drenched. I don't really want to have to fix it myself. I don't want to pay £400 for VW to fix something that just shouldn't have happened. So yes, and thank you for watching. Oh, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram as well, Flat Cap Driver, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you for watching.